What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference opening round series between the second-seeded Brooklyn Nets and the seventh-seeded Boston Celtics, it was the Brooklyn Nets in a blowout, 130 to 108. They take a 2-0 lead going into Game 3. The scene shifts to Boston. Um, right now, if I had to guess, I think at best, even though Boston can be a resilient team, but of course, they were out Jaylen Brown. I think if they had Jaylen Brown, it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. But without Jaylen Brown, at best, I give Boston one game, which would be Game 3. If Boston loses Game 3, this will be a sweep. Okay, this would be a big sweep. Jason Tatum, who had 50 points, in a game during the play-in tournament against Washington, he was held to 9 points. Tristan Thompson had 15 points, 11 rebounds. Marcus Smart, 19. Kemba Walker, 17 points and 7 assists. Kemba Walker has not been the same player on a consistent level since he suffered that, I think it was a knee injury. He has not been the same player. Um, you go to Brooklyn. Durant, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Joe Harris, 25 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Blake Griffin, in 20 minutes of play, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Kyrie, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. James Harden, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. Shamet, 10 points. Brown had 6. Um, James, 4. And Green came off the bench and scored 6 points. When they get everybody involved like this offensively, I think they're at their best. When they have balanced scoring, it's not just two guys shooting the basketball. When they're moving the basketball on offense, and you know, the one question that I had about this next team, excuse me, the one question I had about this team was their defense. During the regular season, they were like bottom 5 or 6 in defensive rating in the NBA. The only team with a comparable defensive rating and still want to win a championship with defensive rating that low, I think it's the 2001 Lakers. I think they were 21st in defensive rating. But that was misleading because for most of the regular season, they had Ron Harper, who by that time was 37 years old. He was the starting point guard. Now, at one point in time, he was a great defensive player with the Chicago Bulls. But by that time, Ron Harper was pretty much done. During the playoffs, Derek Fisher took over the starting point guard position. This was Derek Fisher in his prime as a player. He was only 20. How old was Derek Fisher at the time? Maybe like 26, or so. Um, and he was shooting the lights out. That's what I remember the most about Derek Fisher during that playoff run. Not only was he playing A-minus defense, A level, A level or A-minus level, uh, defense. But on the offensive end, he was hitting every goddamn wide open three. I want to say he shot like 45% from three for the whole playoff run. At one point, I remember him shooting like 60% during the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. He was in fuego, as they used to say, from beyond the arc. But this team, going back to Brooklyn, if they play defense on a consistent basis the way they've been playing the last 2 games, and it was just the fact that they weren't giving their best effort defensively, or maybe were coasting, and some of it was the fact that they weren't playing with each other, consistently throughout the regular season. Now these guys are getting acclimated with one another. If that's it, and these guys play top 10 level defense as well as their offense, nobody's beating this fucking team. That was my only concern. And if this is how they play defensively throughout the duration of the playoffs, no one's beating this team. Not the Bucks, okay? Not Philly, not Lakers, nobody. If they get that far, nobody's going to beat this fucking team if they're playing at the level they're playing right now, okay? On both ends of the court. Hell, even if they're only playing average defense, that'd probably be still enough considering their amazing offense. Um, but the scene shifts to, like I said, the scene shifts to Boston, and I don't think it's really going to make a difference. The championship teams, um, those types of things don't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? If Boston comes out, because Boston's going to come out aggressive, okay? So the Nets are going to have to withstand that. If the Nets withstand that and still come away with a victory, then that'll totally convince me that this is a championship team that will not be denied. If somehow Boston dominates tomorrow, I think they play tomorrow. If Boston somehow dominates Game 3, then that'll bring back some doubts about Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? But the way they're playing right now, my confidence is beginning to rise that they are the team in the NBA. But tell me what you guys think. By the way, I want to make a point here. All right, maybe I'm wrong with my numbers. Maybe I'm misremembering his wins losses record. But if I'm not mistaken, with these two losses to Brooklyn, Brad Stevens' overall coaching record drops to 37 wins and 38 losses. That's under 500 for his coaching career. Now, considering that Boston was once seen as the future of the Eastern Conference, and that after LeBron was traded, many people thought Boston was going to be the team in the Eastern Conference. Okay, that wasn't that long ago. At some point in time, especially if Boston gets swept, you got to start looking at Brad Stevens because I'm tired of certain coaches getting all the praise when the team wins and the team is successful, but when the team does badly, they want to blame the players. Okay, the coaches have something to do with it. Okay, I'm tired of certain coaches, Doc Rivers, Tyrone Lue, Nate McMillan, who was fired from Indiana. You know what I'm saying? It was his fault, but apparently, he took Atlanta to the playoffs. Okay? He took the Atlanta Hawks to the playoffs to get a 1-0 lead against the Knicks. Right? But certain coaches, Mike Malone, Terry Stotts, Scott Brooks, Brad Stevens, you know what I'm saying? Luke Walton, they don't get as much blame. And I wonder why that is. You know, what's the connection there? Kwame Brown talks about it. I'm not going to say it, but there's something there. Okay, there's going to be some people like, well, Mike, it's not always that. No, it's not always that, but there's something there. So if Boston gets swept, yes, you blame the players. Yes, you criticize them. But at some point, these coaches need to be held accountable too. Okay? So that's all I got to say. Tell me what you guys think.